suggestion if I may. Good.
We're going to call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Mr. Seymour to lead us.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have a brief moment of silence for former district athletic director and
Assistant principal.
former district educator Raymond Necchio. I'm going to ask Mr. Stramello to say a few words.
Okay. Mr. Necchio was a teacher first at the high school. Then he became an assistant principal, involved with coaching, both baseball and some basketball. He did scorekeeping at one time. Then he went over to La Presta School and was the principal at La Presta School for a little while and came back to Seymour High School to finish out there. A wonderful educator, a wonderful human being who is sorely missed.
We'll take a moment of silence. All right, we will move on to introductions. I'm Kristen Bruno. I am board chair.
Chris Champagne, Board Vice Chair.
Pete Cubic, Board Member.
Lori Foley, Board Member.
Jay Hatfield, Board Member.
Daphne Shea, Junior Representative.
Jeremy Tomaszewski, Senior Representative.
Shannon Levy, Board Clerk.
Dr. Compton, School Superintendent.
Stefan Bahuniak, Board Member.
Ed Stramella, Board Member.
Kristen Harmeling, Board Secretary.
Before we move on to communications, I'd just like to entertain a motion to add something to the recognition section of the agenda.
Under section 2B5C, I'd like to move that we add a proclamation for fall sports to the agenda.
Second?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? So we'll start with the Bungie Building Committee update.
Pete's the co-chair.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we did the last one, but there hasn't been much happening. We're waiting, we got the preliminary approval from the state of Connecticut. I think we mentioned that at a previous meeting. And now currently waiting the final approvals, which should probably be in the April, May timeframe. In parallel with that, we're in the process of putting together an RFP for final phase, phase 2 architect, which will be, once we get that out on the street, we'll be doing some interviews and getting a selection ready in anticipation of the final approval of funding.
And we're meeting tomorrow night.
Yes.
There is something under the information section, but I think I can bring it up to this communications. I did receive notification from Mr. Stanek. The Board of Select Persons did formally approve the building committee moving forward into this stage. There is a statute change that mandates that the Board of Education chair is a member or a designee is a member of a building committee. So you guys have served well on the committee. If the timing were different, I might do something different, but I would like to designate Mr. Stramello and Mr. Kubik to represent the board on the building committee. All right. Any questions? All right, we can move on to the recognitions and start with Bungie School.
Who's going to take pictures?
All right, so this month we are honoring students for their champions for motivating, so showing they're eager to accomplish their goals, they're ambitious, and they're enthusiastic. So our first student that we'd like to call up is William Kuna. Congratulations. You're the center, William, because you're the most important. Mr. Cubic has something for you. All right, you're gonna hold it up, I'm gonna fold it over, so it doesn't block your face. There we go. So Mrs. Kyer nominated William. He is a wonderful student. He comes to school ready to learn each and every day. He is motivated to succeed in and out of the classroom. He always tries his best, listens carefully during lessons, and enjoys taking on new challenges. When work feels a little bit tricky, he keeps trying and asks for help when needed. His positive attitude and effort help him grow as a learner and set a great example for others. Congratulations, William.
I'll move to the back here.
next champion for the month is Scarlett Harrison. Scarlett has been working extremely hard to follow our classroom charter, Mrs. Columbus. She is always giving her classmates a friendly reminder to turn their voices off by holding up the quiet signal. She participates during lessons even when the work might be challenging. She helps keep our classroom organized and is always looking for a way to cheer those around her on. I watch her help her little brother at the end of the day get on the bus, and it is evident that she has a big heart. I am so proud of her. Scarlett, congratulations.
Anything else you'd like to comment on Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. Good job.
Had two champions from CLS. We're going to first start with a fifth grader who recently celebrated his birthday as well, Colin Peterson.
Somebody asked tonight, on the point, what did Colin get nominated for? And I said, who do you admire? So, just that kind of amazing student and young man. So, Colin is always such a happy and positive young man, which in turn helps make him be motivated in all that he does. Colin works hard and takes on each task with great initiative. He's also always willing to help others, especially once he has completed his own work. He consistently does his homework and classwork, makes positive behavior choices, and is always respectful to both adults and peers. Colin's intrinsic motivation will help bring him great successes in all aspects of his life.
determined to be successful with his math facts and strategies, or mastering his spelling words, or even moving up with his reading level, but you'll see his drive for success on the field at recess to have a competitive yet still fun game of soccer. You'll see his determination to express his opinion and try to get you to agree with him. You can more importantly see it in his community spirit. Alessio is extremely motivated to be a member of our class and school community. He is a role model, a leader, an advocate for others, and a fiercely loyal friend. His motivation to create a community where everyone feels accepted and happy is shown every day. I'm so lucky I get to spend this year with him.
It's my pleasure from the Seymour Middle School 8th grade goal team, Savannah Bednar. Savannah was nominated by the 8th grade goal team here at Seymour Middle School, and this is what they had to say about her. Savannah exemplifies what it means to be motivated. She is driven to succeed, takes pride in her work, and consistently comes to school prepared and ready to learn. Recently, when she was absent for several days, Savannah showed exceptional responsibility by obtaining all of her assignments ahead of time and returning with all work completed. Beyond her strong work ethic, she is kind, positive, and personable, and can always be relied upon to do the right thing, even before she is asked. Savannah is a wonderful role model for all of our peers, and we are lucky to have her. Congratulations. Next up from Seymour Middle School and chosen by the Unified Arts team, Abby Overcamp. So before I read what the Unified Arts team had to say about Abby, I'm always very impressed when the Unified Arts team selects somebody because the Unified Arts team teaches every student in the building. So they have a roster of 500 students, and this month they chose Abby, so that's very impressive. Abby demonstrates motivation each and every day through his consistent participation, strong effort, and willingness to go above and beyond expectations. He approaches learning with enthusiasm and a positive attitude, and his energy often encourages and inspires those around him. Abby's motivation and engagement make him a positive role model among his peers and a valued member of the school community. Congratulations.
Good.
Those are really tall people.
Seymour High School is called Kenzie. Kenzie was nominated by Ms. Anelli and her coach, Ms. Leddickson. Kenzie has demonstrated exceptional growth by consistently improving her GPA every year, and her dedication is evident in her progression from honors level coursework to specialized vocational training, having successfully completed her EMT certification and securing admission to the Quinnipiac University Radiology program.
Yeah, okay, everybody listen. Kenzie is a 4-year member of the Seymour High School varsity dance team, which she has earned the role of captain this year. Kenzie, as we call her, is every coach's dream because she walks into practice with a smile and wants to leave better than when she walked in. She also does that to her team members. Her team members always leave better than when they walked in. This weekend, we had our first competition, opening season, and we scored first place in kick, second place in pom. Kenzie was our motivator. Kenzie hyped the girls. Kenzie made sure that they did their best on the floor. Kenzie is a great role model. She's a great motivator, but most importantly, she's a great human.
recognitions, I'd like to call up the first selectman.
So we have some town proclamations for some sports teams and our coaches. Is Mia Cunningham. So the Town of Seymour proclamation honoring Mia Cunningham for Seymour High School girls soccer, whereas the Town of Seymour, Connecticut takes great pride in recognition of students, athletes who demonstrate excellence, dedication, and leadership, both on and off the field. Whereas Mia Cunningham, a student athlete at Seymour High School and a member of the girls soccer team, has distinguished herself with outstanding athletic performance, versatility, and commitment to her team. Whereas during the season, Mia recorded an exceptional 183 saves, achieved a 90% save, and earned 7 shutouts as a team's goalkeeper, demonstrating skill, focus, and consistency at the highest level of competition. In addition to her accomplishments and goals, Mia contributed offensively by scoring 5 goals and recording 5 assists while playing on the field, reflecting her versatility and impact of multiple roles. And Mia played a pivotal role in leading the Seymour High School girls soccer team to the first ever NBL championship game, including 31 saves and 2 shutout victories during the first 2 rounds of the NBL tournament. Mia is recognized and dedicated as a well-rounded athlete who has contributed at the varsity level in 3 sports since her freshman year, exemplifying a commitment, work ethic, and school proud. Now thereby I am proclaimed that I, Emery Draganis, first selectman of the Town of Seymour, do hereby honor and congratulate Mia Cunningham for her outstanding athletic achievements, leadership, and dedication, commend for her representing Seymour High School in the Town of Seymour. And this next one is Seymour High School's volleyball coach, Heather Yablonsky. Whereas the Town of Seymour takes great pride in recognizing individuals whose dedication, leadership, and commitment positively impact our community and its youth. And whereas Heather Yablonsky, please tell me I'm saying that right, good, has been named CIAC Girls Volleyball Assistant Coach of the Year, an honor that reflects her outstanding contributions to interscholastics athletes in the state of Connecticut, and whereas to her exceptional leadership, mentorship, and unwavering dedication, Heather has played a vital role in the development, success, and well-being of student athletes, both on and off the volleyball court. Her commitment to teamwork, sportsmanship, and excellence serves as an inspiration to student athletes, fellow coaches, and the Seymour community as a whole. The Town of Seymour wishes to formally recognize and commend Heather for her achievements and her continued service to youth and athletes. Therefore, I, Emery Draganis, first selectman of the Town of Seymour, do hereby proclaim recognition and appreciation to Heather, CIAC Girls Volleyball Assistant Coach of the Year, and extend the gratitude and congratulations of the Town of Seymour for her exceptional leadership, dedication, and positive impact to our student athletes. Thank you. Lily Moore, Seymour High School. Whereas the Town of Seymour, Connecticut takes great pride in recognizing student athletes who demonstrate dedication, perseverance, and excellence to their athletic achievement, and whereas Lily, a student athlete of Seymour High School and a member of the cross-country team, has distinguished herself through exceptional performance, discipline, and commitment to her sport. During the 2025 regular season, Lily achieved first-place finishes in 4 meets, reflecting her consistency, determination, and competitive excellence.
Now it makes sense why they're running out. Whereas 2025 NBL Cross Country Championship, Lily placed second overall, earning all NBL honors and establishing herself among top competitors in the league. Lily continued her success at the 2025 Class SS State Championship by placing 8th overall, earning Class SS All-State recognition and qualifying for the state opening championship. And Lily's accomplishments reflect her dedication to training, sportsmanship, and academic balance, and bringing great pride to Seymour High School and the town of Seymour. Thank you. Joshana McCarthy. Seymour High School boys soccer. Joshana, a student athlete at Seymour High School, has distinguished himself through exceptional performance, sportsmanship, and commitment to his team, and has become a varsity starter during his sophomore year, demonstrating advanced skill, maturity, and work ethic at an early stage of his high school athletic career. And during his junior year, he earned all NBL second team honors, reflecting his continued growth and impact as a key contributor to his team. In his senior year, Deshaun achieved the highest level of recognition by being named All-NBL First Team and selected to Class M All-State Team. And throughout his career, Deshaun recorded 3 goals and 9 assists, contributing consistently and selfishly to success, while playing multiple roles, including midfield and doing whatever was needed for a team to succeed. And he was named game captain more than 5 times and earned the role of senior captain, reflecting the trust, respect, and confidence placed in him by his coaches and teammates. Jason is recognized as a dynamic and versatile player who made an impact in every game, known for his coachability and fierce competitiveness. Congratulations. Nice to meet you. One more. Kylie, I'm going to try not to butcher your name. McCure. What is it? McCure. Can we make sure she gets it? Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'd like for Mr. Lively and Ms. Chacon, and also I think the champagne's going to help give out as well. The importance of our AP scholars tonight. This is truly a celebration. There's a total of 41. Some were seniors who have graduated, but parents tonight be proud. We're so proud of our AP program. It was recognized with silver distinction. So at this time,
as Dr. Compton was just saying, we are recognized again as a school, as AP School of Distinction in the silver category. That's fantastic. So the AP Scholar Award recognizes high schoolers for strong performance on the AP exams with increasing levels. So you have AP Scholar, which means that they've taken 3 exams and have scored a 3 or better. AP Scholar with Honors, which is 4 exams and a 3 or better with an average of 3.25. And AP Scholar with Distinction, that's 5+ exams with a score of 3 or better and an average of 3.5. Honors classes are weighted, more challenging courses, while AP courses are 1 extra quality point at the highest level. So we'll start with our AP Scholars with Distinction. When I call your name, please come up. Ryan Dong. Graduating seniors on that list as well. These are just our juniors. For the Scholar Award with honors, AP Scholar with honors, Kiana Asif, James Byrne, Lily Moore, Zachary Nick, and Ariel Zedek. With 6 graduating seniors on that list as well. And now for our AP Scholars, we have Matthew Damke. Please join us. Layla Dickens. Nathan Kitless. Julia Polak. And Angelina Mitchell. We also have 20 graduating seniors on that list as well. So these are AP Scholars.
And of note, there is a person who is a man of few words, but I must admit, I'm going to put him on the spot yet again. He is wearing this hoodie for a reason, because he is going to Yale. Quick photo of everybody, and then they can come off and maybe get a little closer.
Dr. Proctor, you want me to just give them? Yeah, just give them out. Okay. Exactly. James? Yeah,
There's a lot of graduates.
Yeah, we'll do them after.
Why don't we just come on the side over there? Okay. We have a lot of them. We have all the seniors.
All right.
And we got to stick them on off, we'll get yours. Yeah.
Okay, the next are our all-state boys and girls. I know we have at least 4. So as soon as they get their certificate, they'll come back up. Which one of our board members are giving those out? Okay, Lily, our 4 boys and girls state. They're all here. Okay. Mr. Lucky, you want to come over? This is something that our veterans program, they actually honored these students. Our veterans program here in Seymour, and it was such a special morning. They came to the superintendent's office and they got special accommodations from our retired veterans. And it's such a wonderful organization, and Mike and them do such a great job. And every year they support this program as well as other sponsors. So we're extremely proud of the 4 students tonight, and I'll let Mrs. Bruno and Mr. Lucky make the presentations. Thanks.
First off, we have Ariel Zedek. We have Miss Lily Moore. Mr. William Lee. And we have Mr. Ryan.
Get a picture.
All right, quick picture.
They have been participating in different events throughout our building and community. Students are offering midterm study sessions for students after school leading up to exams, which are this week. And students are also hosting a blood drive for our school in March. Our student council has begun planning spring activities, such as the Powder Puff game and some senior activities. Our Hope Club, over the next 2 months, students will be making cards to send to soldiers and making Valentine's Day cards for the patients at Shady Knoll. And they'll also be putting together toiletry kits for the homeless and working on a student need closet at the high school. Our Kindercats, the January activities include doing a snowman drawing worksheet and also completing snowball addition problems, while also talking with the kindergartners about their New Year's resolution. For sports, our girls basketball teams are off to an outstanding 11-1 season, demonstrating a high level of teamwork and consistent play. And we would also like to recognize Coach Cleveland, who recently became the winningest coach in the program's history, marking a significant milestone for our Seymour High athletics. Our boys basketball team has faced a challenging start to the season and currently holds an 0-7 record. Despite this, the team continues to work hard in practice and competition, focusing on improvement and growth as they look to add their first win to the column this week against Willoughby. The swim team is off to another strong start this season and remains undefeated, supported by a deep and competitive roster. The team is positioning itself as a solid contender in the NBL and continues to show strength across events. The indoor track team has competed in 3 invitational meets so far this season, with over 13 athletes already qualifying for the Class M state meet. Several relay teams also secured state qualifying times, with ample opportunities remaining in the season, and they continue improving performances. Our dance team, as Misty said, competed in the first meet on Saturday. They finished in first in kick and second in pom. And our cheer team will be hosting a competition at the middle school on Saturday the 24th, when they will have their first competition on the 31st. The yearbook staff just finished submitting our pages for our 1 deadline and have begun working on our senior portraits, senior quotes, and superlatives for the next deadline. The art club is currently working on independent artistic endeavors, and this month we are starting to plan the background stage set for our performing arts show. Chess Club, their season officially kicked off, and the club is doing well. They tied with Woodland, and they'll be playing Holy Cross soon. The standout players against Woodland were Kaya Smith, Jay-Z Boyd, Mirabel Rishi, and Jerry Pierre. All 4 of them showed great technique, dismantling their opponents in defense to win their games. For the Spanish Club, they celebrated 3 Kings Day on the 6th of January. They had the typical cake, Rose Con de Reyes, while watching very famous 3 Kings Day parade that was held in Spain.
The Environmental Club planned a field trip for April 7th to the New England Aquarium. Students will have the opportunity to compare and contrast conservation efforts being made at a second aquarium. Students will also participate in a Boston Ducks tour around the city. Green urban planning and other conservation efforts are identified and discussed throughout the tour. Cost per student is $150, and there is room for 40 to 50 students. And their next meeting is Wednesday, January 28th. The debate team plans on competing on Saturday, February 7th in New Canaan, March 7th in Stamford, and Alyssa Vergati and Anuya Shah will compete in the state finals on Saturday, March 28th, held at Bethel High School. The Electrothon Car Club is focusing on designing and building a brand new Electrothon race car for the spring race this April. Students are hard at work in the machine shop and engineering labs using CNC machines, manual machines, CAD programs to really bring their designs to life. The Robotics Club has gone to their first competition of the year at Massac High School. A team got ranked 54th, another team got ranked 25th, and another team got ranked 71st. One of the teams made it to the top 16 matches. With the first competition came with answers to what we needed to fix and what we needed to let go and or adjusted. With the truth in front of us, we have been constantly working to improve. The next competition is January 24th at Weston Middle School. The Newspaper Club has challenged themselves to double their output this year and produce 6 issues instead of last year's 3. Amelia Cardona set the timeline at the beginning of the year. They have strictly adhered to her plan and have produced 3 issues prior to winter break. Print copies are emailed to all staff and made available in the cafeteria. They would like to be shared in correspondence from administration to reach a greater audience. FBLA is officially in competition season with the state conference taking place on March 17th. The students can now access multiple resources, study guides, and practice quizzes to prepare for their competitions. The students spend time meeting to study and preparing materials for their events. Students also continue to improve the Spirit Shop. After a successful launch in November, the link to purchase items can be found on Seymour High School's Instagram page, SHS Wildcat CT. soon. Bible Club continues to meet every Friday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Leadership is exploring ideas to incorporate more games, demonstrations, and activities that are connected to the Bible study. Best Buddies had their annual Friendsgiving and had over 40 members attend. There was tons of food, laughter, and friendships that took place. And yeah, that's.
Any questions for our student reps?
Have you guys been busy?
Everybody go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take a brief recess. Everybody's welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. We'll begin with public comment in just a few minutes. Are there any members of the public wishing to comment? Come on up. We just ask you to state your name and your address.
Yeah. My name is Kathy White, and I live at 49 Sagamore Drive. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Compton, and Mr. Electhouse. I'm currently a senior enrolled at Seymour High School, and I'm here this evening to speak about senior privilege and student scheduling. I left work to be here tonight because this issue is important not only to me, but to many of my peers. I would like to begin by thanking you for the educational experience you have provided to my classmates and I during our time at Seymour High School. One of the most meaningful aspects of my time at Seymour High has been the relationships I've built with both teachers and classmates. Mr. Katniss has sparked my interest in business. Ms. Jepson has served as a mentor to me in the classroom and now as I prepare for my postgraduate plans. Because of her influence, I plan to pursue accounting, and she's currently teaching me accounting 2 during study hall because she believes it would benefit me as I transition to college. Ms. Bond has piloted a digital voices class that has taught students how to market our school on social media to strengthen communication skills and provide and develop pride in our Wildcat community. Like many of my peers, I've carefully planned my schedule throughout high school with the goal of earning senior privilege. I'm enrolled in AP courses, I participate as a 2-season athlete, I work outside of school, I'm a member of the Future Business Leaders of America, and I participate in Kindercats. As I enter second semester of my senior year, I have 3 study halls, something that I've worked for in order to create flexibility during my final year. Access to senior privilege would allow me to further develop my time management skills and pursue employment opportunities related to my intended field of study. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed to learn that I would not be able to take advantage of my senior privilege in the afternoon due to scheduling limitations. I attempted to work with guidance to move my study halls to the end of the day to better manage my time, but I was told that was not possible. When I spoke with administration, I was informed that schedule changes could not be made because numbers are dwindling. I feel as though I was encouraged to work hard with the understanding that I would have greater flexibility during my senior year, and that expectation has now been changed to accommodate staffing needs. In addition, our class has lost cell phone privileges, CAF study halls, and now the opportunity to meaningfully use our study halls off campus. I respectfully ask the board to encourage administration to allow my peers and I to take advantage of senior privileges that were discussed and agreed upon at the March Board of Ed meeting last year. Positive relationships are built on mutual respect and compromise. We've worked hard over the past 3.5 years, and we are simply asking for the schedules to reflect the senior privileges we were promised. Thank you for your consideration.
Hi, my name is Alexandra Trevoni, and I live 74 Briarwood Drive. So the message that has effectively been communicated to us is that students are being treated as sort of placeholders in classrooms rather than as individuals whose academic needs and earned privileges are being considered. We have been informed that seniors are being denied the ability to drop classes because doing so would reduce class sizes and potentially place some teaching positions at risk. And while we do recognize and sympathize with the seriousness of such a situation, it does not negate the fact that at the beginning of the 25 to 26 school year, seniors were explicitly informed that they would be permitted to utilize up to 3 study halls. As my peer previously stated, we have worked diligently over the past 3 years to earn this senior privilege. During the first half of the year, students were allowed to exercise this option freely, using their study halls as intended. However, students such as Catherine and myself are now being denied this opportunity due to a plan that was not fully thought through and has resulted in the removal of privilege that was clearly promised to us. I respectfully ask administration and the Board of Education to consider the fairness of this situation. Seniors are not merely placeholders used to maintain class sizes. We are students who have put forth consistent effort and dedication in order to earn the privileges associated with our final year. We ask that our work, our commitments, and the promise given to us be honored. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public wishing to comment? Going once, going twice, third time. We can move on to reports. Thank you for your comment. As you know, it can't be a back and forth. At this time, a board member may ask to add something to the agenda or address something during the comments at the end. Our first report is about an Eagle Scout student presentation.
playground and outside the playground need new picnic tables. And I feel like, yeah.
They definitely have deteriorated, so I think this Eagle project is just really outstanding because it's something definitely that the school community can use, and I know it's something that Mr. Electa had wanted to do at one time. He wanted tables out there. So I just think it's a really good project. She wants to do it, and you're going to do 4?
I'm going to do 4.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? So I think later on the agenda, we have that as a possible action item to approve that.
Yes.
So if I may, through the chair, just out of courtesy to the Eagle Scout, or Scout, can we act on a word?
So I have it at the top of discussion and possible action. I think we can move it up into the reports. So next, the enrollment report.
Oh, well, I asked for permission to make a motion, but not really.
What you should,
I guess I'm making a motion to go out of order and approve the Eagle Scout project.
Take a second.
I'll second.
All in favor of Jay's motion? Okay.
So I make a motion to approve the Eagle Scout project at Chapter of the Preston School building for picnic tables.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Enrollment report?
We just usually reference that, right?
Yeah.
Any questions for Dr. Boyle on the special education report? For the financial report, I know our finance committee did not meet this month. Anything that you want to report, Mr. Bucci? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. We have the Bungie School Improvement Plan.
Good evening. I don't know if you want to bother me, but otherwise we're standing in front of it. Good evening. Tonight we will present our Bungie School 2025-2026 improvement plan. We have some places that we're really excited to share how we're building off of last year's plan and all of the growth that we've had. So, I guess Lauren Reed, principal.
Dave Wilson, assistant principal. And we'll start by kind of just before we dive into our plan for this year, we thought it'd be good to celebrate some of the successes that we had last year on our plan. I know sometimes we present the plan and then it kind of just goes away. But this will also give you some context as to the goals and objectives we've established for this year. So most significantly, all the indicators, the academic indicators that we provided last year, we were as a building able to overwhelmingly accomplish them. The only exception to that being in grade 5 reading, where we came up a little bit short, and grade 2, even though we had our own improvements, grade 2 was slightly below the national norm. We wanted to be above that, but we did hit all of our particular indicators. Most notably was that 97.7% of students in grade 4 had achieved their target in mathematics, which is really a remarkable accomplishment. And not only do we see remarkable growth in both that in math, but we also saw it in ESPA as well. Though the numbers that you're going to hear tonight are really more math driven than they are ESPA, but we saw that success as well there. One area too that we like to celebrate as well, as I'm sure you're all aware, the state is battling chronic absenteeism.
Yes.
The state percentage is 17.2% for chronic absenteeism. Bungay School came in at 11.8%. So we celebrate the fact that we are significantly below the average. We'd really like to push that further and try to get under that magical 10% number. But just to give some perspective, we're doing quite well in that regard. And another area where we're really excelling as well is in bringing our families into the building. 98.5% of parents felt either both well-informed on all aspects of the Bungay School community and connected to the Bungay School community. So a lot of what our teachers are doing in the classroom and what we believe we're doing as administrators are helping to lead to that number, which is a really remarkable number when you think about it. Next slide, please. So, when Mrs. Reed and I sat down and we talked about and we planned out our school improvement plan, we really focused on kind of a three-step process, right? And that's what you'll see in your report tonight. And that first step is demonstrating that students feel safe and feel cared for and feel ready to learn. Because without that, you can't have anything. You can't have any academic success. So first thing we want to do is create that school environment where students, their families, and our staff feels both valued and essential. It's only then that we can begin to achieve. And so step two becomes our achievement. And those are the numbers you'll see throughout both math and reading that we present to you tonight, which are built heavily off of our numbers from last year as well, and the numbers that we were successful in and we want to build upon. Step three then becomes growing. So you're safe, then you can achieve, and then you can continue to grow and continue to expand. And as we follow each of these cohorts through their entire tenure at Bungay School, we want to see them on an upward trajectory. We don't want to see peaks and valleys. We want to see continued growth and acceleration and moving these guys on for the rest of their educational careers.
Just in front of you, so you have three different things. One is our full school improvement plan, the other is the presentation, and the third is like a one-sheet overview.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are kind of for your information. We tried really hard to make our presentation something that is not just for you, but it's for our school community, and that it's shared with families as well, and through our PTA, but also through our Meet the Teachers, and you'll see that throughout the presentation that our goals and what we're working on are shared continually with our teachers, and then our teachers are sharing with their families. So really we have four pillars: our social emotional learning, our reading language arts, our mathematics, and then our family and community engagement. And when we speak about our engagement, it is not just our families. We really are trying to keep our greater community involved. So we have a lot of different ways that our community, our high schoolers are coming into our buildings, our community members are coming into our buildings, and we have continually tried to grow that, which we'll talk about in our goals. So our first goal is really fostering that supportive, connected school community. So we're trying to, as Mr. Willitson said, really make sure that students feel connected, that they feel both physically and emotionally well, and that our staff feels the same way, and we're implementing that through our social emotional learning strategies. So our first measurable target, our school climate and our school data team, which is comprised of both our staff members, but actually community members as well, wanted to focus on two things that we thought really would increase our students and their feeling supported and connected. We did tie it to the ruler program, which we began in about December last year, and we wanted to make sure that we were measuring the growth because of the program. So the two first pieces are we're looking for 80% of students responding favorably to I can name, which is recognize my feelings, which is the first in ruler, recognize, is the first part, and then matching their feelings to the mood meter. And really we know that for academic success, they need that strong social emotional learning component as well. So we tied that and really looking at how that ties into the CASTLE domain and self-management, because we know, and you'll see later in our academic goals, that self-management of setting goals and having grit and perseverance is all really important in them being able to achieve their goals and being successful. So we are implementing the ruler introductory lessons in all pre-K through 5 classrooms. That's something that's very visible in our classrooms. You can see the use of the mood meter, you can see the lessons going on, you can see visuals for those students, and about every other Friday or so, our whole school is doing those lessons at the same time in the morning. So we have a key, so our most recent was about best self, and our morning announcements tie into that as well, as us being present in the classrooms and seeing those lessons. So really a best self is, how do you want yourself to be in a certain situation or in a certain role? So as a principal, I want to present this way, I want to feel this way, I want others to see me this way. And so our students are thinking about themselves in their best self. And that's really in those key moments, okay, how do I want to react in this situation? And really a lot of self-reflecting. So within the ruler lessons that they're doing, there's also kind of home links and connections. So we're trying to encourage families to engage in that work too. So some of the mood meter feelings, like excited, the students went home and found a song with their families that was like something that made them excited, or kind of tying it into different ways. So that's been really well received. The students really are talking about it. When we're pulling in students to have conferences or address, we're also having them reflect on that mood meter. So it really is a whole school piece. And even our One School, One Reads this year, which we do monthly, with Ms. Ferragini, who's our school library media specialist, she's found books that kind of support that as well. So we're really trying to, as a school community, focus on this, because we know that if it's important, you make it essential, you want to make it something that everyone's talking about. So overall, we're embedding those lessons, we're regularly using those tools, we're practicing and having teachers really participate in the rule of professional learning. We need to really be well versed in it if we're going to teach it. So we've been doing a lot of work with our teachers as well, as our school psychologist, our school counselor, and then we have a ruler implementation team of staff members, because we know that we need to hear from them to see what will work in their classrooms as well. And then just reinforcing our school-wide behavior matrix, and we've done a lot of work with our school climate team this year because of the new school climate plans, and making sure that we're addressing any behaviors and such, and intervening so that we can support learning.
Okay, our second goal is going to move around advancing reading, comprehension, and fluency, so our reading and language arts goals. The next slide will ultimately show you, if you want to jump to that, that's fine. Yeah, these are the goals and benchmarks that we've established for each of our 5 grade levels, from 6 grade levels, from kindergarten through grade 5. Those, as you're aware, the younger they are, the bigger the jump they make. And so we have that in mind as we set those goals and we set those targets from fall to spring. So what you see in the fall is the fall number is where they have tested already in the NWEA map. And then the bottom number, the darker bar, is where we want them to end up in the spring. And the number obviously to the right is that growth percentage that we collectively would like to see attended and achieved. Those numbers are, things that we've looked at kind of scientifically and some data-driven decisions that we've made by looking at results from past years, and those numbers do fall in line with the numbers that we've seen in the past. In the classroom, our teachers are focusing on core literacy components like phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. One thing where we really, I think, are trying to make a big step forward now, and especially with Mr. Leckner's guidance and utilizing a lot of the smarter balanced interim assessments, is, so what we're focusing on is great. We have the data, but now we want to make much more informed data decisions. We want to look at what the numbers early on are telling us, what those little temperature checks are showing us in the middle, and then how our teachers can drive their instructions from that. So we believe that in utilizing those different components, we will be able to achieve the growth that was indicated on that previous chart.
And in math, we are also working toward those specific targeted growth norms. I will show them on the next page. They do mirror, although we always look at each grade level and each assessment very carefully, so there are some differences. We're really trying to push in K to 3 because we know it's so important that they're reading on grade level in those early ages to improve their growth. So we did set those again with our data team. There we go. So we're continuing to strengthen the mathematics instruction with a focus really on that deep conceptual understanding. I hope this keeps working because that fell off. And reasoning and problem solving, and emphasizing the real world application. So we continued last year, we talked to you about our WIGs, our wildly important goals, and really using the model from the business world in some senses to set goals, to set those action steps, and that has worked really well. We found that that was a big impact on not only our grade levels, but individual students. They were excited, they felt ownership. It was very successful last year. It translated into a lot of our SRBI block where students were really focused on what they needed. And they set, their goals, what were their indicators of success, how are they gonna get there? They were tracking, we would go into classrooms, they're marking off what they did. They were reminding teachers, hey, we didn't get to our sight words today, so that was really successful. So in math and ELA, we are continuing that. We are really looking at our feedback, giving feedback, peer feedback, collaborative problem solving, and then interim assessments. Another layer that we brought in, because we know the key is continuing the professional learning and then seeing that translate into the classrooms, is building thinking classrooms. So Dr. Nobley, who has helped the board with different projects and the schools with different projects, has been very gracious to come in and do work with our teachers, and we saw it right away translate into our classrooms, which that's always the best PD. Mr. Wilson also did a PD on it, which again, I think the next day I heard people in your office saying like, I used it, I did it.
Right away, and the feedback's been wonderful. So.
We were able to get, without any cost, some vertical surfaces, and that has really translated into, from K, we are seeing in K with building, they were doing a unit on building communities, and the kids were creating their community on that non-permanent vertical surface. So that has been great. And then in reading, we had brought in a team to attend the state's ReadCon, again, no cost, which is great, professional learning series, where the teachers actually then can become a certified, they can take a test to have that extra certification with that remedial reading. So we have a team of language arts consultant, special ed teacher, we wanted to build that into, and we work with Dr. Boyle to select that person, and then we also have a teacher from K1 and 2. So that has worked really well. And those are the growth targets.
And then finally, just our last indicator here about strengthening our family and community partnership, which again, we already do a tremendous job in. The goal itself is just by spring of 2026, at least 80% of parents will respond favorably to the following prompt on our parent survey, which is a little different than the one I talked about earlier. I'm aware that Runge School is implementing the Ruler Social Emotional Learning Program and understand that it supports my child's social emotional growth. So where last year's target was more about the family's connectiveness to the school community, we felt that 98.5%. We can't set a higher bar than that. So this year we wanted to focus that target more on making sure we're bringing families in and understanding what we're doing with Ruler. So we think 80% is a good bar to start with, and to incorporate our families into doing that. And so a lot of things that we'll do is Mrs. Reed sends home Ruler information every week through our Runge Buzz. Teachers are communicating things through their newsletters and Remind. The celebrations that we have here tonight really incorporate a lot of those Ruler philosophies too, and then just providing more family Ruler awareness and learning opportunities by incorporating it into a lot of our different schools and things like that. So. We can maybe just tell them it's there.
All right. So as you received, and you can do this at another time, okay, perfect. As we said, we really want our community community partnership or family partnership for them to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So we created what is using an AI tool, like a podcast. So it was sent to you if you had a chance to listen to it, but really it's a neat way to share that with families. It's a different way to engage them. It's something that they might listen to rather than read a whole presentation, and we felt like it was a kind of a next step to engage our families. So that is in the email, but it's also in the presentation. It's linked right here if you want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So our improvement plan at a glance. We're really working on building those social emotional competencies, developing student leadership and voice, and setting goals. We're working towards that in all areas. We're focusing on foundational skills, the phonics, the fluency, the comprehension. We are looking at really promoting those higher level thinking through things like building thinking classrooms. And again, that consistent communication and really involvement, not just from our parent community, but from the greater community. So whether it's something like kindercats or tutors, or now we have classroom grandparents, which has been really well received. We have every classroom. We were thinking it was just going to be K-2, but everyone loved it, and we had to build up more. So now we have all the way up to the 4th grade. The students love when they come in. There's Nanny Miller. There's all these different people that come into our classrooms. And I'm trying to think if there's another one that's something. It's Russian, I think. But so the kids love it. They look forward to it. They do games with the kids. They do sight words with the kids. They read to the kids. They take small groups. A lot of them are, former educators. And they want to be there. So that's been hugely successful. So again, looking for the greater school community, not just our parents, but really everyone. And really just the success of our students and our school is a shared effort. So it's shared with all of our staff, with our community, with our Board of Education, and really it's a roadmap for us to have that partnership and to engage everyone and move forward. So that is the end for us.
You want to show the podcast?
For those of you who enjoy a nice podcast on your drive to work, you can get even more depth and detail on our school improvement plan.
Today, we are diving deep into a document that, usually makes eyes glaze over a school improvement plan. But stick with us. The 2025-2026 blueprint from Lundy Elementary it's less administrative jargon and more of a strategic playbook.
Exactly. It's filled with these highly integrated, measurable goals. And this isn't just a list of things they hope to do.
Right.
This plan is kind of a shortcut to understanding what modern, effective primary education looks like. Because it just so meticulously locks academic excellence together with social and emotional growth.
And our mission today is to cut through that noise for you. We're going to highlight the specific programs, the surprisingly sophisticated.
So you can listen to the whole thing. It goes over all of our goals. It ties in, like we said, the wigs. And we just thought it's another way to engage families and really just think about how we can make it a greater audience and our community.
Yeah, this will be shared with our families along with a video presentation as well.
Who was that talking? Was it you?
It was
It was
AI.
That was an AI voice?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it
It's
kind of.
very cool tool. It's part of Notebook LM.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the person who came from the state that Keith brought in, he talked about that a bit. It was pretty
So it will make like you put in the information, but yeah, it works really well. We kind of explored it, for different reasons and purposes, but it's a great way to kind of engage both staff and students at different times, and even model what they can do, so they can make their own.
So I thought it'd be a really good overview for you. It woke me up when I clicked on it. I thought, wow. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
It did sound like the woman's voice did
Yeah.
sound like yours.
No. I just want to say great job.
Move on to the consent agenda. I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Just made it.
All in favor?
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, discussion and possible action. We discussed the Eagle Scout project. We have a resolution for our school security officers.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention on February the 15th is going to be School Resource Officer Day. So we appreciate everything that Ron does, so if he could come on up, because he's here at the meeting tonight. We'll recognize some others later in February. First Select Woman's going to be giving proclamations later in February. Yeah.
We have a resolution, I believe. This is going to all of our school security officers or resource officers.
Yeah.
All right, so we have, whereas Seymour Board of Ed believes that the students are best when they feel safe, supported, and valued, and whereas the school security officers serving in Seymour Public Schools are a steady and reassuring presence in our schools, helping to create an environment where students and staff feel protected and cared for each day. Whereas our school security officers build positive relationships with students, greet them with kindness, listen when they need support, and serve as a trusted and familiar adult within our school community. And whereas the Seymour Board of Ed recognizes that the role of a school security officer extends beyond maintaining safety to include mentorship, compassion, and calm leadership during both routine school days and moments of challenge. And whereas the school security officers of the Seymour Public Schools demonstrate professionalism, dedication, and a genuine commitment to the well-being of our students, families, and staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Seymour Board of Ed extends its heartfelt appreciation and sincere thanks to the school security officers serving our district for the daily commitment to safety, security, and support of the school community. And be it further resolved that the Seymour Board of Education commends these individuals for their care, vigilance, and positivity they bring to our schools, and express its gratitude for the important role they play in ensuring Seymour Public Schools are safe, welcoming, and supportive places for all. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. Yeah, she says something to say. Thank you for all that you do. You do a great job.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say something about Officer Ron, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So Officer Ron goes way beyond the traditional roles and responsibilities of a security officer. He's an integral part of our school culture and our community. Known and loved by students, staff, and families alike, Officer Ron builds meaningful relationships with children, serving as a trusted role model to provide guidance, encouragement, and support. Students look up to him, know him by name, and understand they can always count on him. Whether he is ensuring the building is safe and secure, teaching students about safety, supporting a child who needs a break, assisting with special events, or supporting other school and district needs, Officer Ron is a constant and reassuring presence. His work goes far beyond school day as an SRO, and can be found leading our student color guard at a buggy PTA bingo night, middle school dances, I think every home football game, board of education meetings, and many more within the community. I think he also went to the football games for the little guys.
He did.
His dedication, visibility, and genuine care for our students make him a truly irreplaceable person in our school building and our community. Ron plays a key role in keeping our building safe while also helping it feel welcoming, supportive, and connected. His love for Bungie Elementary and commitment to our broader school community make him a special member of our Bungie family.
Yes, thank you for all. There'll be more to come in February. The first select woman's going to do some proclamations and do some special recognitions at the schools.
Okay, next we have the Board of Education subcommittees. Thank you everyone for giving me your requests. There were some committees that were more popular than others, so I did my best, again with input from Mr. Champagne and Ms. Harmeling, to try to strike a balance between keeping some consistency on committees and then giving folks opportunities to serve on new committees. We had some really good conversation at the last board meeting about some potential changes. I'd like to take the rest of this school year to research, look at what other districts are doing.
Yes.
And then propose some changes potentially to the bylaws around committees in the summer for the beginning of the 26-27 school year.
I'll make a motion to accept the Seymour Board of Education Committee assignments for 2026 as presented by our chairperson, Kristen Brewer.
No, second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Bohuniak, through the chair,
Go ahead.
for his service on the liaison committee. I'm sad to see him go. I enjoyed his level-headedness that he would bring to the meeting, especially sometimes when I get off a little off the road. But he did bring a nice sense of calm to the meetings, and I think it was pretty much 4 years. I think we served together, so I appreciate his service and his advocacy. But I'm looking forward to bringing Mrs. Harmling along for the ride. It's quite an adventure. I hope you're ready.
I said I can't put it off any longer. Never served on a liaison committee before.
You could have told me last year. I would have given you last year.
I appreciate the words, Jay. Thank you. There were parts of it I enjoyed.
There were parts I enjoyed.
You did a great job.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor of approving the committees? Thank you.
Through the chair, if I may, can I add item D? I hate to put Mr. Buck on the spot, but, you know, I gotta give the kids the credit. They came to the meeting, to discuss the, early release situation, and obviously, that was the first I heard of it. And I added to
You want to make a motion?
Senior privilege.
I mean, make a motion to add to the agenda, senior privilege, I guess you want to call it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of adding the item?
We've already been having some discussions.
You guys good for talking about this? Like-
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, okay.
Our intention is now to.
Just waiting for a question.
Yeah, I'll start with this thing. Of course, we don't want to take away their senior numbers, but we're in a situation where they've signed up for these courses, and we've staffed these courses. And why don't we take it, Ashley?
I'm still waiting for a
So
question.
I guess-
Totally opposite of what you told me over there about reading the names. You kind of flipped that on you right there. No, it's fine, but
So through the chair, if I may, I guess the question was, I was not aware of I really couldn't understand what they were griping about. So they had to be, some people had it before, I know that there seems to be a semester type.
Yes.
So explain, would you let me explain that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So at the beginning of, well, this time, February of last year, they signed up for courses for this year. And when we schedule the courses, it's not like we handpick this course goes in that period. Power School goes through its algorithm, takes a lot of time, and it tries to schedule as many kids for their primary first request as possible. Sometimes that schedules them in period 1, sometimes it schedules them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at this point, students were scheduled for a course that they wanted to take. It was either their first or second choice. It wasn't beyond that. And each kid was a little bit different. And some of them happened to end up 8th period, which if you remember, we have that 3-day block where 8th period accrues there. And en masse this year, more so than I've ever seen it before, seniors are just trying to drop 8th period, 8th period, 8th period, 8th period, 8th period. Well, we've already gone through our staffing, and had we known that ahead of time, we never would have staffed or even ran that class with the particular amount of numbers of these kids dropping all those courses. So it puts us in a predicament of having classes 8th period now that could potentially have 4 kids in it, 2 kids in it, 3 kids in it, but they signed up for the course on the previous year. So we are in a conundrum. I do understand their perspective, but quite frankly, we never would have even run the class had they not signed up for it because we wouldn't have had enough
So when you start with 15, 16, 20 kids, and they're dropping, we get down to 6, 7, and 8, and then other courses now start ballooning, it creates a disparity in the amount of kids that are in particular classes. We all know that, you want to get that sub 18 if you can for optimal at the high school level at least. 18 or less kids in there to have optimal instruction. And now we have this disparity of classes ballooning and other classes getting decimated by withdrawals at the end of the day.
So they're not just dropping the class, they're dropping and changing the class?
Many of
So it's both.
Because they have to be a credit requirement they have to take. So the seniors have to take 5 credits. So some of them are able to drop it because they were credit rich beyond the 5, and some cannot, and they have to take a different course during the day in order to make up for that.
So are we telling them that they can't drop the class?
At this point, we told them they can't drop the course because you signed up for the course at the end of the day. Because they came en masse. It's definitely a problem. I was thinking about solutions for the future. But I've never seen this many come in prior years.
Is it because it's like Power School is figuring it out? Like, how did it used to get it figured out?
The same thing, Power School it schedules so that the most amount of kids can get all their primary choices. So this was most of these students' primary or at the very least secondary choice of a class. It just so happens that it occurs in period 8. So they all.
And there's no way to put a block on certain classes being scheduled for?
In the future. One of the solutions that we're looking for in the future is finding senior electives, and we block it so it never schedules in period 8. But the more and more constraints you have, the less likelihood that you're going to get your primary choices. So you can constrain as much as you want, but then it becomes, okay, now you can't get your primary choices because if optimal would have scheduled it in period 8. So yes, we're looking at that too.
Is it new this year to lock those last 2 periods, or
No.
has that been going on?
It's been going on for at least 3 years at time.
Is that primarily to accommodate ECS?
Well, it's primarily to accommodate long-term CWE. It's a setup for CWE.
Do the students who need to take another class, as opposed to the students who can drop it, not have any adverse impact on their overall credits? Are they being treated differently or the same?
That's it.
I've been treating them the same. I've just been saying no. I know it's terrible, but if you say yes to one, then you have to say yes to the next person, and everybody has their own reasons for why they need what they need, but to try to keep it fair, they're coming in masses.
It does
I'm
feel
going to say
like
over 50 students.
it does feel like it's a different circumstance, right?
Yeah.
If the student wants to drop a class because it's 8th period and then they want to try to get into a 3rd period class, that feels a little bit different than the student who wants to drop 8th period, but they have plenty credits and don't need the class.
I know it's tough. We have one young lady I spoke to today she's an AP scholar. She's taking AP classes, and she got into the school that she wanted to, and she doesn't need a stats class any longer, and she wants to drop it. And it's a tough situation. Of course I want to say yes.
But she did sign up for it last year because of primary.
But things change. It's just
So
so hard.
do we run the class
to,
with low numbers like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's scheduled, there's nothing else to do with it, so.
So here's my take. As a board, we don't think about scheduling. We've gone through this with the middle school, and when I believe right before you became principal, did the whole switcheroo of the schedules. There's no policy that we would set for this. I wouldn't even want to take a stab at that, so. It sucks for them, I hate to say that, but like, because I know that would drive me nuts. And it's to Kristen's point, it's different than I want to drop 8th period because I want to go home or go to a job versus I'm in honors English and I'm just not cutting it and I have to drop to a lower one. I don't think you would say no to
No,
that
no.
situation. But yeah, I mean, we'll listen, but I think.
How do you make a kid go to a class when they don't need the class and they don't want to be there? And they could be doing something else that's enriching their life more. I mean, quite frankly, I love that class.
It was, So to your comment, in the past, when seniors were required to take 6 credits, there was even more of that type of an attitude.
Yeah.
Now they're down to only required to take 5 if they meet graduation requirements. So that has cut down a little bit because you would have seniors having to take that 6th credit in classes they didn't want, and then they were just skipping it,
Yeah.
wandering the hallways, not showing up, not carrying anything to 0.
Yeah.
None of that was good either. So we're kind of
limit PPs, honors, classes like that. Is there an understanding that if you enroll in this class, you're not dropping it?
yes.
Yeah, we have an AP.
There's a contract.
For honors too, or just
AP.
Well, there's actually an ad drop contract. There's an ad drop procedure that does outline when you can and cannot ad drop for multiple courses.
Is this certain circumstance in this policy contract?
No.
No.
Through the chair, so the 5, just remind me, if you could, is that a Seymour High School or Seymour Board of Ed or state requirement for
CIAC.
for credit for students?
So for us, we have a tier. We used to have a blanket system of everybody has to take 6 credits. And then what we did last year is we tiered it for 7, 7, 6, 5. So 7 freshmen, 7. So that seniors would have more opportunities to do things. Again, set up, hopefully for CW at some point. So no, it's not a state thing, but it also is largely driven, to your point, by CIAC because you have to have so many credits in order to participate in athletics. And we carry that over the clubs. So although you don't get involved in understand what you had said, we would highly consider whatever you have to say.
Well, now that you mentioned that there's some sort of contract out there that's not written in it, I'm gonna say if they want to drop it, they should be able to drop it, we have to take the contract next year.
They got to make changes for next year. It's a catch-22. They even, 2 of the leaders even emailed me and complained, and my first thing was, oh my gosh, you're wanting to drop out of these classes that really could, I mean, honestly, especially those that are going on to college, could better prepare them.
Well, they're getting all their acceptance letters,
Yeah.
so then they're like.
I know, and it's just like, oh, I got what I want now, and I'm just going to run and just, you don't really want senioritis, but at this point, it's basically, you know, they should have a,
But then we're gonna run into, as Harlan said, we're gonna run into, if we go to 6 with the seniors, we're gonna run into what we ran in the prior years, is now they're so credit rich because they're taking all this that they don't need it, and now we're forcing them to go. Now they're cutting class, now we're creating discipline. And
I think it's almost a situation to where, like, you know, some of them, if they want to drop it that bad, you're going to have to let them. And I just think we need to move forward and make sure it doesn't happen like this again. And understanding the commitment as a senior, it's your senior year, folks. It's not senioritis, and you really need to get a quality education, honestly.
Raise the graduation requirement for 1 credit.
Yeah. So.
If you think about it, though, but Chris, I mean, we made that change, right? To
Yes.
go 665 for a reason, right?
Yes.
So you could understand almost how the students are like, oh, wow, what a
Yeah.
great change. And now all of a sudden, they can't take advantage of that change when they really have earned it. And I think you guys have done such a great job of always calling it senior privilege. It is a privilege. And
there is criteria.
yeah.
And is this at the end of the day or the beginning or both?
So it can be both, but the beginning of the day rotates.
Okay.
So it just happenstance will happen 1 out of every 4 days, where we have a block at the end of the day, and that is the real crux of the issue.
Yeah.
So we definitely understand the perspective,
Yeah.
but we also need to be responsible in some ways of not having, of course, the blow up, meaning the numbers go really high at the beginning of the day, and then have almost nobody at the end of the day.
Right.
Because we never would have even scheduled it that way, had we known they were all gonna get their college acceptance and start dropping.
We understand what they're saying. They did a nice presentation, and the other 2 that were in leadership did as well. And I just said, you know, we need to discuss this, but right now, if you keep dropping out, who's going to be teaching? There could be no kids left in the classes. But, you know, we're kind of right now where we didn't nail them down to whatever, so it's
Yeah, we
a
still
tough
have
situation.
even what's in
We
the
need to let-
criteria for the half-year courses, if you do drop within 10 days.
many kids are without in this situation?
About 50.
There's about,
Just
I would,
roughly.
all right, nowadays, that, I would say absolutely between 40 and 50 kids have already gone through guidance to drop down. I have been saying no to everybody. I'm sorry, you can't accommodate you at this time, you've taken the class. But someone dropped a few students here and there, and no one owns up to it, kind of thing.
And how many classes are we talking about in the span of
The
that?
two big ones that are getting, the three big ones that are getting hit are zoology,
Trig.
stats, and trigonometry.
Trig. And I'm thinking, gosh, I wish you all wanted to stay in
Okay,
this.
so
And
it's
now
already
we
been
have
accepted
that.
to in my letter, to know that.
That's right.
Don't the
Here.
colleges ask for
They
a
are,
second semester transcript?
and they will see no trig, stats, or zoology for many of them, if they drop that.
Yeah, Stefan has a.
You mentioned that there's a, maybe it's an outside chance, but there's a danger of some of these classes becoming so small that they would cease to run, or maybe there'd be 0 kids in them. Would there be an opportunity to utilize those staff members in another way? It sounds like we're always looking for tutoring opportunities or help around. I think, we can maybe turn that into a positive, because thinking about this, I understand the perspective of not wanting these kids to drop the classes because you've invested in having these classes at this time, and it was beneficial for them to have those classes until it wasn't. But at the same time,
Senior
thinking back to
privilege.
myself at that time, and you guys knew me a little bit back then, I would certainly, if I was denied, I would take it out in another way. And I'm sure a lot of the kids will have that sort of mentality, especially as they sort of round the corner and start coming home on their high school careers. So I think it's probably a net negative to not let them drop the classes at this point. There potentially could be, though I think it's a very difficult spot.
Yeah, we thank you for your.
That's just my
Yeah.
observation.
We knew a couple of kids were coming today, and we're curious what everybody has to say, and, we'll find solutions so it doesn't happen again. But this was a year of kind of some change with the credit requirements, and then, this class is very, very close and has high school spirit, and, we don't want to deter that either, because.
We don't. They've done well for us.
This year, and we wanted to hear it.
They're a great class. Just gotta.
So I think I'm hearing.
Don't listen to what I say,
you all
Dr.
said
Trump.
any-
Earmuffs when I talk, but
Well, yeah, I
that's the real
understand it's our purview, but I
perspective.
still value.
They need to just be able to drop it.
So that's what I'm hearing, that there's no policy about it, but certainly, there's some comfort with you looking at individual circumstances, understanding that dropping to enroll in another class that would put it over the optimal size is maybe something that you don't want to do, but having kids in a class that they don't need and don't want to be in also, when they could be doing a work experience or doing something else. I appreciate thinking about the enrollment, but again, that staff is committed for the year, and it will give us actually a truer picture of what enrollment might be in some of those courses than if we are requiring kids to stay in them when they don't need them.
We'll have to rectify this for next year, with blocking some courses that don't occur, and then coming up with some kind of procedure, so I don't have one yet, to address.
Schedule.
Well, we do want to work with kids. We're gonna do our search tomorrow.
Oh, they are.
They certainly are.
Oh, they are. And they know there's no
And I appreciate
policy against.
They're right, they made a good point, that our staffing issues are not, but, they did that before, so.
Yeah.
We got you.
But they didn't know that was time, right? That was gonna be scheduled that way.
We were glad they came forward and
Yeah, I thought
took
they were
advantage of
awesome.
public comment.
They did a great job.
Thank you. All right, any questions about items in the information section of the agenda?
Just a quick question, what does the SLP intern stand for?
Spanglish path.
Say it again?
Speech language pathologist.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
intern, that's great.
Board of Education comments and superintendent report. I have no specific comments tonight. Are there any board members that want to make comments? All right, Dr. Compton.
Please make sure that the 20th and the 27th will be okay with you for the budget meetings. Also, I have a superintendent's meeting with the SCAPA group here this coming Friday afternoon at noon. It's a meeting that's going to be in Meriden, Connecticut. And also, we have a commissioners meeting that's going to be the third Friday of the month as well. And she's going to be discussing budgets and special ed and funding and so forth. So just make sure that you mark these 2 dates on your calendar, okay?
Dr. Compton, at one of these meetings, would it be possible to talk about some of the facilities concerns?
Yes, we'll have a facility committee, and then we'll talk about just some of the things, looking at 5 years, looking at what's most crucial, some of the things that we've had to remediate at CLS, just in regards with repairs, the geothermal system, also situation with some concerns about mold. So it's just something that we need to look at the list. We need to look at the high school. We need to just look at each of the 4 buildings and look at what we have and plan moving forward.
Be helpful to have some.
Yeah, then we're going to have strategic planning meeting as well, and that's a part of it too with the facilities.
I don't even know, does it need to be a facilities committee meeting? I think all of us have vested interest in.
Right. I think with all of this right now, this is something that you can go look at as a whole full board, just looking at what our needs are.
It should be part of the budget
Yes.
process.
Well, I don't think it can't be rolled into the budget. The situation being with some of these facility issues, with the roof, for example, that's a referendum issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the situation with the high school, with all of that, with the locker rooms and the pool and all of that, that's another major project. So let's prioritize. First is Bungay School, but let's start looking and working with the town. They want to work with us as well with the facilities and all together of what the board prioritizes and they prioritize. And actually, what would be wonderful, but the money has not been there. It would be great if the board could put so much money aside and the town as well. But there's just some of these, it's going to have to be referendums as well.
But I guess that's what my frustration comes from. Like, nothing on that list is new. Nothing is new. So who should have been saying? Should it have been us? Should it have been our facilities director? Should it have been the town? Who should have been saying, what is our timeline for getting this stuff on a referendum?
I think, to be honest with you, it goes way back many years when the first thing came up with about the locker rooms. So you're going back many years. What year was that, Paul? 2008? 12? 8.
I've been on the board 9 years, and we were trying to get that swim locker room done.
In 2012, Mrs. Masco designated me for a month to go through, do all the facilities, because the state had requested randomly.
Yeah.
So I still have the books in my cabinet, and that was one of the things, all that was brought up.
And all due fairness,
The locker rooms, and the auxiliary gym for the high school, parking spaces in different schools. I measured every parking space. I measured the door jams. At the high school, most of the bathrooms are not fit. That's all grandfathered in though, but it's not in a good state. So as far back as 2012.
yeah. I think it's something that the Board of Ed has to look at. I think also the town and them prioritizing as well, because when you look at it, this has been going on for a long time. I mean, you look at Bungay School, nothing was done for Bungay. Now with this new building and all of that. So it's really, honestly, no one's fault. There's a lot of different variables from the time, early 2000s in the building. This was built in 2001. And then you look 2012, the high school had the addition done in 2005. That's when really something would have been nice if it could have been done, but they ran out of money, was what I was told. So when you look at what are the major priorities, we talked about the turf field now, that's been taken care of through ARP monies and the support and with the town and being able to figure that out. So we only made a contribution of $150,000. They did all of that with grants and whatever. So it's something everybody has to come together. It can't be a blame game. The problem is it just hasn't been the revenue. And then when you hit COVID in 2020, so, I've been here since 21, and when you look at it, like I said, we did a repairing of the tiles here at the middle school a little bit this summer. But these are going to take a lot of money. So you're going to have to look and prioritize, and it's going to have to be working with the town. Yes, you can't blame anybody.
Two things I'm going to shut up. One, we almost didn't have the ability to host track events, outdoor track events due to our equipment. And I think we're getting really close to that.
It's happened several times.
That outdoor track now, the actual track itself.
It's got to be repaired, got to be
When
repaired.
when I go to sporting events, especially soccer and football, and I see that there is a football/soccer field in the middle and a track, I know we won't make any friends, but it might behoove us to extend the longevity of our track by not allowing people to use it. Because most of the schools that we go to don't allow people on the track.
You mean walking?
Walking, yeah. There's a lot of signs that do that. My other point to that whole thing is this is a perfect opportunity to talk about some sort of sponsorship program.
Yes.
To use that money to cover things that we can't do normally out of our.
And now is the time for that. You all have approved, when we looked at the policy, you're no longer as far as really having partnerships and signage and all that. It can have a lot of revenue. So let's go for it.
I could talk about this a lot, but I would just say I think it might behoove us to utilize our facilities director a little bit more. I'd like to get a little more face time with him. Maybe we can get him on at least a quarterly basis to come to these meetings, and we can have some conversations with him. I think even down to the granular level of what is our desk replacement plan? Do you have a plan? If not, what do we need to get in place to have it? He needs to be utilized on the school side as much as he is on the town side, and that, unfortunately, I don't think that happens as much as it should. And if it is, it's out of sight of this board, and we have obvious issues that we need to resolve that we can't keep going to the town and saying, what are you doing for us? We need to be an active participant in the process. If you want to talk about the track, I could go on all day, but there's a lot to be done there as well.
Okay, I can tell you he'll be willing to come anytime we ask him to come. He's working hard. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of things technology-wise too, as far as upgrades and looking at things. So
this is the way we've decided to set up facilities in this town, and we need to utilize it.
yeah, and it's just something I think too. It'll be a really nice meeting of the minds too, to include the first select woman and Kurt Miller, and just start this conversation about the facilities and stuff. I do.
We all know what the priorities are, right? And I'm not trying to take the blame. I'm actually asking the question, whose responsibility is it to come forward and say, now's a good time? Like, we don't know if now's a good time to start bringing on more debt for the town. We don't know when they've got debt rolling.
Well,
It's clear that this stuff has to be funded through referendum.
Yeah,
I mean, whose
okay.
job is it?
Okay,
So
I think it's all of our jobs. I think it's all of our
How do
jobs
we
are
do
working.
it? That's what
Okay,
the
here's
question
what we
is.
do. We first start out with a working session to just discuss about facilities with our first select woman and with Mr. Miller. And I think also looking at specifically, we have to get together a projection of a timeline and what the priorities of the most needs are. About a capital, I understand that, honey, but that's what has to be done. And when you look at these buildings, and so forth and so on. The first select woman will tell you, she wants those locker rooms done. She wants that swimming pool done. Whatever, it's just looking at the town, the expenses and what can be done. It can't all be done at once, but you've got to have a 5-year, got to have a timeline and when to go out for a
We have asked for
referendum.
that over and over again, and we get an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Well, I think the problem is because the situation being, if it's just one or two people, they don't really know what to do. They're just showing you this is what we found, okay? It's got to be everybody's responsibility. It's got to be the Board of Ed, got to be the superintendent. It's also got to be the select persons, the first select woman, and Kurt Miller as well as chief, because they've talked about it. They want to help because they do own the buildings. But it's just everybody's got to work together, and what can our taxpayers support?
And I think the lesson from Bungie is that what we've been doing isn't working.
That's right.
So we can't be always in crisis mode.
Yes.
This has to be done
Yes.
and scrambling. So I think if we can set up a structure of, and
Which
we have
Kristen
our
has
budget
asked for,
workshops.
yes.
Other districts do that,
Yes.
where they have, one meeting is about, instruction, the other is about facilities. So we
Yes.
can build that into the structure, again, inviting
Yeah.
Mr. Miller, inviting the first select person. It should be part of our presentation to the Board of Finance. These are the things coming up, so that it's they're shared concerns of the town, and we're trying to be strategic and not just reactive.
Right, you can't be just reactive, and the track is a major issue. We've got to have a plan.
Well, the track being done, part of the field.
No, not the track, it's just the fill right now, so,
Just feels.
yeah. So we'll, like I
But
said,
what-
that's the
but in
answer.
field, what field? You're talking about the baseball part? of
No,
the-
we're
the
talking
football
about
part?
the football
But
turf. Yeah, it'll be done by August, I don't know the exact date.
But even with this budget thing, facilities, I have a hard time though when we're having this conversation, but yet in the budget, we put $1,000 as extra for facilities. So we're sending a mixed message.
Yeah, we haven't approved a budget.
I understand, but it still is a number that's placeholder. Most kids are placeholders. It's still a placeholder number, and yet we're having this conversation here for the last 15 minutes about the facilities, but yet we're sitting, that was like the biggest takeaway from the workshop last week. For me, it was like, oh, only $1,000? Like, what?
Jay, we haven't weighed in on that yet.
No.
We haven't even said a word about it, to be honest. That's very much up in the air.
Actually, now that this is a live document out there, you know what I mean? I just think it's like, ooh.
No,
And again, I
I
think
mean,
the-
it's just
this
a rollover.
conversation has to be had in like, we had that years ago. What did you call that, Mr. Smaller, where the three groups came together as a little summit, type thing. I think we need to have something like that to say, what are our technology needs? What are our facility needs? What are our, and get the three departments.
That's why we started a strategic plan, folks. That's why we had the first, and we're going to have others. But the main priority here needs to be the discussion of the facilities, and it's got to be with the town because the town owns the buildings. And I do think they want to help. They've got to see what they have and what they can put aside, and what is the main priority that has to be fixed first.
Can we set up some kind of thing where we can all tour everything together?
Absolutely, yes.
See and prior, I wasn't aware of the locker rooms till I went in one and I was,
And even, sorry.
oh my God, I don't know when the last time is that anyone here has been in the locker rooms, but they're bad.
So, sorry, can I just follow through the chair? Just to counter that or add to that, we don't even know what today's cost is going to be. So maybe the first step is we say, okay, if that's what our goal is.
You're talking millions.
Right, but I'm just saying, even if that's our goal, let's just say locker rooms.
Yeah.
Then we should approach the board and say, hey, listen, we need some money to do a study to say how much this is going to cost before we go out there. And maybe that's what we take.
You would. You do a feasibility, you'd have to have an architect, okay?
Right.
That's how that
And I
works.
think we need some costs in order to be able to prioritize.
You do, that's right, that's right, and prioritize with the town.
Again, I'm not sure, can they are those costs in the spreadsheet updated? When was the last time we had it?
It's not about,
Right. So
yeah, it's not about spreadsheets and whatever. It's about looking specifically at where the greatest priorities are, compliance issues and stuff, and
But it's
it's
also
been a
about
money.
looking when the debt's gonna come off and when is the appropriate time
Yes.
for the town to take on more debt. And that's
That's right.
something that we do not have visibility over.
That's right, and that's something that Kurt Mueller is an expert at, and that's what we need to.
Tells me that he will be in attendance at our workshops coming up, or we can extend an invitation to have him.
I would extend an invitation, that's the right thing to
So,
do.
and the same with
Yeah,
Mr.
'cause-
Powers.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the superintendent's report?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. So this